For those who don't know, my name is Richard McDaniel. I'm your state director here in Georgia. Happy to be here. But because I love you guys so much, and I want to show you my appreciation, I want you guys to understand that. And I say it, they ask me, is Georgia a battleground state? I say, if it's a battleground state, let's act like it's a battleground state. Yes. And that's what you guys do. And so, you know, I wanted to start bringing some surrogates by, some great people, some inspirational folks. And this is Senator Sen Spearman from the great state of Nevada. I said it like Nevada, right? Nevada. If you say it wrong, they will correct you. But she was originally from Indiana. She's been an elected official since 2012. But the beautiful thing about her is her commitment, her fight, her courage. It resembles a certain person that we all know as Secretary Clinton. Someone who's always going to be in your corner, always going to have your back. She is a clergyman. She's a veteran for over 29 years in the Army as a lieutenant colonel. She is a star in the North Las Vegas community, in the state of Nevada, but also in this great country, just for her leadership alone and her service to this country. But right now, she is my friend in this battle that I've been on for the past 17 months, stuck for Secretary Clinton. I'm honored to have her here. I'm honored to have her here from this group of individuals. We have our future right here. We have our past, our present, but most importantly, you guys are making calls to turn out the vote in this state. Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah. So without further ado, I give you the wonderful, amazing Senator Sen Spearman from Nevada. Yes!
How's everybody doing? Yeah. I heard somebody walk in and say, fired up. Fired up.
Fired up.
Let's go. I am really glad to be here today, and I know that you all probably have some elected officials who are probably more qualified than me, so it's an honor, and I'm humbled to be here with you. One of the reasons I really wanted to come is because you all are a battleground state. 8 years ago, we were, and we were able in 2008 to turn Nevada purple. Yeah. And in 2012, we turned it blue. Right. But I want you all to learn from our mistake. We turned it blue in 2012, and in 2014, most of the people stayed home. And we lost both houses, Senate and the Assembly, and all of the constitutional offices. And our session in 2015 was a fight. I mean, we had to fight. There were several bills that they were trying to pass that we held the bills hostage because the governor needed his revenue package signed, and we told him, nope, any of these bills get out, you won't get it. And we're not going to sign anything until the very end of the session. Bills like doing away with overtime, daily overtime. Bills that would have put up some ridiculous law in terms of voter ID. Now I'm saying that because once we turned Georgia blue, yes. Okay, she got the right answer. She got the right answer. Once we turned Georgia blue, once we do that, you got to keep working. Yeah. You got to keep working. Now let me say a little bit about this election. This, and you know, we've heard it a lot, but this is probably one of the most consequential elections in our lifetime. Yes. In our lifetime. And I believe that the only reason that Mr. Trump that Mr. Trump is where he is because there were some people who didn't ask the right questions during the primary, and they're still not asking the right questions during the election. Our station Kentucky for a while, and in Kentucky they have this this little horse race you might have heard about in May. And usually what they do during the horse race, once they're talking about the horses in the horse race, they never start talking about the race. They keep talking about the horses. And I've always said that what the media should be doing is focus on the horses, not the horse race. Because at the end of the day, this time next year, nobody will remember all the stuff they had to say about the horse race. The person that we are running against, Donald Trump, is not qualified to be commander. He is not qualified to stand before our military and say nothing. He is not even qualified to play G.I. Joe. And this is what's at stake. This is what's at stake. What's at stake is, you see these young people right here?
Yeah, our future.
There's a guy on the Supreme Court, and his mom calls him Clarence. And this guy was appointed to, quote, replace Thurgood Marshall. And I think that that is an abomination because he couldn't be more opposite. And if you look at the decisions that have come down that have tried to chip away at equal rights, that have tried to chip away of human rights, if you look at all of those decisions, if he had not been on the court, if Thurgood Marshall had been alive, those decisions would not have passed. And so, brothers and sisters, this is what I'm saying. The next president will appoint 3, maybe even 4 Supreme Court justices. And so it's not about just what happens in 2016. It's what's going to be happening in 2060. I just wanted to sink in.
Frightening. Yeah.
If you get somebody that's elected president who doesn't even have enough sense to take the American flag with him when he goes to Mexico to speak, how in the world can you trust him with the Supreme Court?
Yes.
Or anything. That's right. I really appreciate what you all are doing. Make no mistake about it. This is ground zero. This is ground zero. Years from now, if we don't get Secretary Clinton in office, our children and our grandchildren will be asking, what did you do to stop this terror in 2016?
Yes.
They will be asking that question. And not only will our children and our grandchildren be asking it, but the rest of the world will be wondering what happened to America. They're already asking, but they don't really be asking, okay? Listen, we are a country that has been built on the strength of our diversity, and you've got somebody who is trying to demonize that now. Not so.
Yes.
Not on my watch. We are a country that believes in liberty and justice for all, and you've got somebody on the other side that can't spell any of those words. Not on my watch. We believe that other people are the children of God, and they have the same rights as we do. Someone else on the other side is trying to minimize their humanity. Not on my watch. Let me say this. I was commissioned in 1977. And I know I probably don't look like it. In June of this year, I turned 61. But listen, I served 29 years in the Army Military Police Corps, and when I was commissioned, they didn't want women in the Military Police Corps. They barely wanted us in the Army. And I always tell people that had I been a white man, instead of retiring as a lieutenant colonel, I probably would have retired as a 2-star general. And why do I say that? I say that because I had to fight for every rank that I got. I had to fight every day. Every day. I had to fight in officer basic. When everybody else was just breezing through their PT test, they would only count 1 if I did 5 push-ups. You know what I'm talking about, right? You know, sit-ups. You know, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then I get to 2. So by the time I finished the PT test, I probably did something like 120 push-ups and maybe about 75 sit-ups, because they didn't want me there. As a matter of fact, the first day of class, I had one of the TAC officers to walk around the room that's about twice this size, and he walked all around the room talking about how difficult the course would be, and he waited to get to me and say, some of you all will be here and some of you won't. And I looked to the gentleman who was sitting to my left. I said, he's not talking about me. I don't know who he's talking about.
Share with the followers. Invite people to share.
Now listen, my experience in the military has taught me something about people who are willing to fight.
All right.
My experience in the military has taught me something about people who want to be gatekeepers and don't want folks like us to enter the gate. For the last 25 years, they have been manufacturing what I call faux controversies, faux scandals. And if you look back at all of them, none of them have been proven correct. There has not been a scintilla of truth in any of it. It's just been something designed to perpetuate this whole idea that there's something that is untrustworthy about Hillary Clinton. And I say to them, prove it, because if you come to me with your foe, I will come to you with truth. And the truth of the matter is, when other people were content to just talk about maybe public dollars were going to promote segregation, she had the temerity to go into the South.
Yes, she did.
Knowing full well that if she was caught, she would be killed. People don't remember that. She had the unmitigated gall to go to law school, not to find a husband, but to get a degree. People don't remember that. You know, see, there's some people who don't remember that during the time that she was in her 20s and in her 30s, women couldn't even get a credit card unless their husband signed it. She had the unmitigated gall to go as a white woman and work for another black woman.
All right.
Mary Wright, come on, somebody. If you want to know why they hate her so much, they hate her so much because she's a fighter. Because she doesn't back down. They hate her so much because she's willing to stand flat-footed and tell them what the truth is, and she don't care whether they like it or not. So when you hear people say to you things like, well, there's this Benghazi thing, where you point them to the budget, where the president and the Secretary of State asked for more funding for security in all of our embassies, and a Republican Congress denied it. When they talk about emails, you say to them that, listen, the FBI spent all of that time and they came out and they said there was nothing there. Nothing there.
Nothing.
And here's what I started doing. I started on Facebook and on Twitter. Whenever I hear them go there in the media, I've started saying this. Will y'all please do your homework? Will you please do your homework? There's nothing there. Will you please talk about what happens to your 401k next year if Donald Trump is elected? Will you please talk about what happens to our country if he is elected? Will you please talk about what will happen to our health care? Will you please talk about what happens to a nation of immigrants. Will you please talk about all the truth and the honesty that is in Secretary Clinton, but we can't even find one scintilla of it in Donald Trump. Will you please talk about it? The right way. And if you start focusing on the horses and not the horse race, the people are depending upon the media to bring the news, not make the news. And so let me close with this because I want to leave some time for some questions. I'm in the trenches with her. I'm in the trenches with her. I know we've got the sign that says I'm with her. I put a little carrot
If you
there.
guys have questions, you can ask and I'll ask for you.
Okay? Anybody who has ever fought for social justice, anyone who has ever fought for your children, anyone who's ever fought for your grandchildren, anyone who has ever stepped up to the plate and they told you no simply because of the way you look, simply because of the color of your skin, or who you love. Anyone who has ever been in the trenches and had to fight that fight, you know what's going on. You see it. You can identify it. You can smell it. And so what we've got to do here in Georgia and everywhere across the country, we will not sit down. We will not get complacent. We will not throw up our hands in despair. But what we will do is we will take Hillary Clinton's example, and when they knock us down, we will stand back up. Right. Georgia blue. Yes. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. And I promise you, once we get Hillary Clinton into the White House, the first woman after the first African American, take their country back. And I keep saying back to where? Back to what? Right. That worldview will be shattered. It will be shattered. And everyone in this room will be a part of that. It's history turning into her story. Will Donald Trump ever become president? Not on my watch. Thanks for the questions. Have we got time for questions?
I'm pretty sure there are no questions.
Yes, sir.
Can I share a goal with you for 4 years from now?
Yes, sir.
Could we not have 51% of the elected officials be women in 2020? That would be the 100th anniversary of the right to vote for women. Wow. So I think we should make that a goal so we can then control the redistricting, etc. But thank you for your speech. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for talking today. What are you doing in 2024?
Listen, I will be somewhere working for the next Democratic president. So soldiers don't retire, we just refire. I'm sorry, say it again, sir.
I can start making campaign signs for you.
Let's get Hillary in. Let's get Hillary in. And I like the goal of having more women. You know, I sponsored a bill in the Senate last session for equal pay.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, what a concept. And because my house, it never got a hearing. And the person who was the majority leader basically told me that my bill was too far out in left field, that it was too full of this liberal agenda.
Yeah, we get liberal from it as well.
And you know what? Last time I read the book, I'm Christian, Jesus was a liberal, so I'm probably in. That's another reason that we've got to get Hillary elected.
Yes, right.
What my bill did was back pay, but not only back pay, but it also gave back benefits with interest. And the interest rate would be calculated at the highest interest rate in the state when the case was adjudicated. Because it's not just the pay that you lose, it's the retirement that you lose. And see, people don't understand that. There's a whole lot at stake. We got to do this. We got to do this. Yes, ma'am.
It's important to elect Hillary, but also a Democratic Senate and
Yes.
Yes. So what's going on in Nevada to retain Harry Reid?
They're working right now. Right now. And I also go out and speak for Catherine Cortez Masto. That's a very interesting and very important note. Listen, in 2010, if we had been able to retain both of the houses, and if we had been able to retain the state houses, a lot of the stuff that President Obama has had to fight through, he wouldn't have had to fight through it. But I say to people that, you know, we've lived through this and we understand it. But 50 years from now, when the history books are written, he is going to go down as probably the greatest president because people will say, look what he accomplished in the face of adversity. And the other thing that will happen, is that those who have been naysayers and those who have been saying it can't be done, those that have been saying it won't be done, because see, make no mistake about it, President Obama's on the ballot this time. You just won't see his name.
Oh yeah. Protect the legacy.
So listen, they tell me we got to get ready to go, but listen, let me say this one more time. Whenever they try to compare our candidate with the drunk on the other side, it's an illegitimate comparison.
Yes.
Say that with me. It's an illegitimate comparison. Come on, say it again. It's an illegitimate comparison. If you want to do the work, if you want to wear the title, you must study, as Scripture said, to show yourself approved, so you can be worthy. He hadn't studied anything, and now has this scam going on, and hoping that people will forget it. But we don't forget. We don't forget. And it doesn't matter to me how many times the chameleon changes his color or how many times the leopard tries to change their spots. If you want to be president, you should have come after me, because you, Mr. Trump, will not be president. Not on my watch. 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 Not on my watch.
I'll ask you questions. I'm your handler for the day, so I'll ask you questions post-privately. We're on the conference, but I'll ask them privately.